For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas. A truce begins this morning between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The 72-hour ceasefire includes a commitment by Israel to remove all ground forces. Israel first started withdrawing troops late Thursday night. An IDF authority says that the army will remain deployed in defensive positions outside the Gaza Strip, ready to redeploy.
The streets of Gaza City are busy like never before. Even during the previous truce or ceasefire, we did not see the streets busy as much as today. People of Gaza feel safe. People of Gaza went out of their homes. They are buying their basic needs such as bread and food and fuel for the electricity generators, also water. And also many people managed to go to the banks. The banks are open today. They are getting their salaries that they did not get for like 2 months now. So the situation in Gaza today is calm. There is no violations from either sides except some Israeli shelling on the borders close to the eastern borders of the Gaza Strip. It is not hitting the Palestinian homes, but it's hitting the farms and empty sites around these areas.
Yesterday, United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon urged utmost restraint after Israel and Hamas agreed to begin the truce. During yesterday's 7-hour humanitarian ceasefire, the United Nations restocked supplies in schools and other buildings being used as temporary shelters for the nearly 270,000 people displaced throughout the Gaza Strip. A UN relief agency for Palestine refugee spokesperson says that people in the Strip remain deeply traumatized and living in fear because of previous attacks on United Nations shelters. On Wednesday, UN envoys from all of the 193 member countries are due to meet for a General Assembly discussing the crisis. In further solidarity with the Palestinian people, Ecuador has announced that it will open an embassy in the occupied territories. Ecuador will join 40 other nations with diplomatic missions in Palestine. Ecuadorian Foreign Minister Ricardo Patiño tweeted yesterday that, quote, "Palestine lives in tragic moments. The moral obligation of the world is to end the slaughter in Gaza and to promote a lasting peace with justice," end quote. He also announced the opening of the embassy in Ramallah. Ecuadorian President Rafael Correa has consistently condemned the Israeli attacks on Palestine and called for an end to the conflict. Here in Latin America, support for the Palestinian people remains strong all around the region. Protesters have taken to the streets to denounce Israel's attacks. For more, we go to our correspondent in Venezuela, Rachel Boothroyd. The Argentine National Securities Commission announced that it will begin an investigation into market fraud by the vulture funds. It's the latest development in the government's months-long battle with the holdout creditors. The president of the CNV, Alejandro Vanoli, said in a press conference yesterday that the commission would run a thorough inquiry on the vulture funds, which he said are suspected of fraudulent maneuvers. Vanoli went on to say that the vulture funds had been involved in criminal maneuvers on a global scale. He says that through the use of privileged information to manipulate markets and a possible misuse of certain financial products called credit debit default swaps, the creditors have violated both Argentine and U.S. laws. The radical Islamist group, formerly known as ISIS, has seized the town of Arsal in Lebanon, sparking fighting with government forces. After the insurgent group seized the border town, battles raged between Lebanon's armed forces and the rebel group. As the war spilled over into Lebanese territory, the fighting has killed 14 Lebanese soldiers and left 86 wounded. 22 are missing, presumably captured. Reports indicate that up to 50 Islamic State fighters were also killed, but an exact number is unknown. This is the first time that the Islamic State has seized territory inside Lebanon moving on. The Ukrainian army has announced an imminent attack on the independent Republic of Donetsk. Yesterday, troops surrounded the city with powerful missile launching systems. The Ukrainian government warned civilians to abandon their homes. The government continues to block any international human aid. However, the military has not permitted the entrance of food to the city. Currently, no basic services are available. Russia has denounced human rights violations by Kiev. The ongoing violence has resulted in the death of over 1,000 people, according to the United Nations. International health organizations are appealing for more medical staff and aid to help fight the Ebola outbreak, which has killed 887 people in Western Africa. WHO officials say the organization needs hundreds of more doctors, nurses, and health staff dispatched to the region to help fight the disease. As of August 4th, over 1,600 cases of Ebola have been reported in Sierra Leone, Nigeria, Liberia, and Guinea. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies has called the international community's response to the epidemic negligible. On Monday, a doctor who treated an Ebola-infected patient in Nigeria contracted the virus, making him the second confirmed aid worker to catch the disease. Thanks for sticking with us this morning. We have more on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle.